What's going
Yo,
on, buddy?
what's up, Paul? Why? I am very lonely here. I'm stuck with just your pop.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't be there. I am in a hotel outside of Boston right now.
Nice. This is so.
So
This is our first episode
our first episode
separate.
apart. It's lonely here.
Yeah, but you're working, dude.
I am. I'm working. And once again, we see each other's fucking coattails.
I know. Same show I was working on. Your travel in day was my travel out day.
One day we'll be on set together.
Yeah. But it's funny. We're talking about the highs of getting to work in between periods of no work. And that was a topic of conversation with today's guests.
It was, man. And I'll tell you, even if I didn't get, because obviously they got to put in, even if I didn't get it, just getting that call was a huge, huge morale boost for me. And it literally, it was so uplifting. I'm like, I don't even care if I don't get it. I need a phone call.
Yeah. So today we have Jasper Joyner on the show.
Jasper is first of all is a great human being. I met Jasper in 2015, and he's just a phenomenal athlete, stuntman, martial artist, and
person
in general. And also, I mean, obviously you guys are going to find out in the episode, but he has been Michael Jai White's stunt double for the past 10 years.
Since 2014, he's been in 8 films doubling Michael Jai White. That's insane. Some of the most epic stuff.
Yeah.
But we're going to focus on 2 fights. One from Accident Man, which is such a
funny and amazing movie. And the sequel is also great, in case you haven't seen that either. And then also Never Back Down, I believe the 4th installment?
It's 3. 3, but they don't really call it. I mean, if you search, it's Never Back Down 3, but then they call it Never Back Down, No Surrender.
Right. Yeah, that was why I just said installment.
But it is it is number 3.
But and then he fights the incredible Nathan Jones.
Yeah, man. Holy cow. This guy's been on set with some legends.
Legends, dude. Darth Maul.
Yeah, Ray Park.
Boyka.
Scott Atkins. Boyka. Yeah, Scott Atkins.
Boyka. And I mean, in all honesty.
And of course, Michael Jai White.
I mean, Michael Jai White. Nathan Jones, he was in what? Troy. He's Mad Max Fury Road.
Yep.
And then Mad Max, the new one, Furiosa.
Yep.
That just came out. Yeah, man. He was in Tom Yum-Goon with Tony Jaa.
Speaking of Troy, the edit is almost done on our shot-for-shot remake.
So we're going to be able to show it soon.
I think when, going back in time a bit,
when
that episode where we talk about it drops, we'll have it done so people can see it. That's what I think. So everybody go back a couple episodes to the most recent Steve and Paul episode, and we're going to be talking about making this shot-for-shot remake of Troy. But so far, it's looking pretty killer, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to put it up.
I can't wait to see it in its entirety. You've been showing me pieces.
Yeah. We should give advanced screening to our Patreon subscribers. Seriously. I think here's the decision has been made. We will let our Patreon subscribers see it first. We'll keep it as a private video.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So if you subscribe to our Patreon, you can see the video before anybody else does.
Our Patreon subscribers are the best, man.
Yeah, totally.
One of our Patreon subscribers, Naz, I play on PlayStation 5 with him. We play this game called Helldivers 2. Like literally a few times a week. It's awesome, dude. He and I just blow shit up and kill aliens and shit. It's awesome.
That's awesome. So if you are interested in subscribing and supporting this show, we just announced a new perk. You're going to see this. You'll get the first view of this.
So please follow, and subscribe.
Yeah, and
on all of our platforms.
Yeah. YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, definitely give us a review. On IMDb, you can give us a review. That stuff really helps bring our show into people's algorithms. So the more activity there's going on, the better. Like us, subscribe us, comment on our YouTubes. We can get back to you pretty easily on YouTube and obviously in Patreon. But reviews really help. Stars, thumbs ups, whatever, any of that stuff. So yeah, definitely in the show notes, you'll have the link to our Patreon and check it out. There's some public posts and stuff too there, but we have a lot of stuff for the private stuff for the patrons. So that's awesome. We also couldn't do this show without our sponsors, right?
Absolutely.
Dude, Brett Copes.
Red
Brett,
Copes, Fighter Flight
Brett Copes.
Entertainment.
Yeah, Fighter Flight Entertainment rigging company. Legit. If you need a primer on performer flying, he's the guy to talk to. And he does workshops across the country, aside from working on productions across the country. He's always working on stuff, that guy.
Yep,
Yeah.
worked with Brett before. He's an absolutely phenomenal human being. We also have Metro Camel Car.
Yeah.
For all of your cinematic car needs, basically.
Yeah, seriously. You need a camera outside a car, inside a car, moving alongside a car, on a process trailer with a car, tracking along other cars. Metro Camera Cars. They're based in New York, but they work across the country. They're absolutely incredible. Started by Joe Barise, who's also a stunt performer. So what I love about them is they're cinematographers and stunt performers. So you get the best of both worlds there, you know. So definitely, if you need car camera work, Metro Camera Cars is really the place to go. And we don't make these sponsorships. We don't take them lightly because we've worked with all these people before. So it's not just like some rando who just paid us to do a readout on our show. Like, we actually know these people. And if you listen to the show enough, you know that every episode we kind of talk differently about them because we actually know them, and they're good peoples.
And
Tactical Black, baby. Tactical. Who'd you say?
I was going to say my favorite Tactical Black, but coming up.
Yeah. Oh, Tactical Black. See, we both love him. We both love him so much that we said it at the same time. This is what happens when we do shows from different cities.
I'm going to like anything that has to do with guns more than anything else in the category. It doesn't matter. So
yeah. But seriously, if you're an actor, Tactical Black just put up a great video. I don't know if you saw the woman doing mag changes and tactical movement and stuff.
Good video.
And with a little reactions at the end, like she was getting hit. So, I mean, literally, if you're an actor and you need to learn how to handle a weapon safely, properly, on set, offset, Tactical Black is who you talk to. They're based in LA, but they do workshops in the UK. They've done workshops here in our own space right here in New York. So they're pretty awesome. Definitely check them out, man. And then, of course, Stunt Contact. Yeah, man. Stunt Contact. It's like one of the best breakdown services for stunt performers in the business. Legit. Like, the way they break down the info on their website, pre-production, post-production, what's shooting now, who's coordinating, who's the executive producer, who's the director, whatever information is out there, it's on their website, and you can get weekly or daily subscriptions, and their interface is just really, really user-friendly. I mean, super user-friendly. And they're definitely a place to go if you're looking for work, man. Awesome. We love our sponsors. Without them, we couldn't be having these shows.
Thank you so much. Or we could. We would just cost us a lot more money.
Yeah, it would be much more difficult to do these shows without them. But seriously, like, without them, I don't know if we would have got the show off the ground.
No, I mean, at least not right away.
No.
As quick as we did, for sure. And our Patreon members, you're in that category as well. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to get the show up, or keep the show going. So
yeah. The Patreon members are like the constant infusion of support that we need after the initial startup from our sponsors, for sure. So we love all you guys. Other than that, Paul, what can we tell people? They should follow us everywhere. Fights with Friends Pod.
Fights with Friends Pod. And then also we got a great episode coming up with Jasper Joyner. So
man,
come and see us there, which is
let's hit it. Later. Yo, look we got Jasper Joyner in the house.
Jasper,
this is awesome.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh man, another day in paradise.
Yeah, man. Well, not for Paul. He's in a hotel room.
I mean, look, it's really nice out here, man. I spent the entire morning going from comic book shops all around Massachusetts. I know you went and did like the fucking the rich history that this whole place is known for, but fuck that. I went to the comic book stores.
So for those tuning in, Paul is in Boston working on a show that I literally just came home for. So once again, we're like two ships passing in the night. He arrived. His travel in day was my travel out day. So we've still never worked together on anything that wasn't ours.
Yeah.
And so, and Jasper, you're in Detroit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a little bit outside of Detroit. I'm actually in a small city called Bay City, Michigan, that no one knows about. I always use Detroit as the landmark, though, because
Okay.
everybody knows Detroit.
Yeah, for sure. So where's Bay City?
Bay City's about I want to say about an hour and a half north of Detroit.
Cool. So this is a Tri-City episode right here.
What are you doing out there?
Living, man. You know, living, taking care of the family. You know, taking one day at a time. You know, absolutely blessed. So, yeah.
Cool.
You know, just waiting for the new opportunities, constantly training, you know, constantly working on my mind, body, and spirit, you know, but right now at the moment is, you know, being here for the family.
And you have a wife, you have a little girl, right?
Yeah. So dude, actually I have a wife and I have 3
You
daughters.
have 3 daughters. That's right.
Yes. So I have 3 daughters.
I think you had 2 when we first met.
That is correct. Yes. And I decided to multiply. So, or add an addition to that, you know, get them out the way while you're young.
I have no idea what you're talking about, man. I just, as you so heard, I just grunted when I took my fucking seat. Oh,
Yes.
And since you asked, that was my lower back, you dick.
Oh my goodness. Taking some heavy falls there.
Well, actually, I did work out this morning. They have a pool and a gym here. And
Okay.
so, you know, I decided to utilize that. So I definitely,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
So let's remind the listeners, we put links to a couple of fights in the show notes. So be sure to hit pause before we really get too deep into this and watch the fights. We put one fight from Never Back Down, No Surrender, and another fight from Accident Man, which we'll dive into a little bit with Jasper as the show goes on. But let's dial it way back. So you're originally from Michigan, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And so how did I mean, you know, we know how people end up where they end up. You know, there's an egg, a sperm. But how did you end up in martial arts? And like, so was this sort of your, you know, like me, I was put in martial arts daycare and it kind of clicked. But was it something for you that you always wanted to do, or how did that whole thing happen?
Yeah. So I think like all of us, as we're growing up, we dabble in different things. Martial arts was one of the things that I dabbled into, but nothing that I really took serious at that moment. I really didn't get serious into the martial art world until I really got into the stunt world.
Good.
So obviously, I've done taekwondo, MMA, jiu-jitsu, things of that magnitude. But as far as taking it serious, it was just a young kid trying out different things, right? Which my parents put me in based on discipline. Growing up, I was kind of like a hothead. You know, I had a huge temper problem, right? So it's like, okay, where can we take these anger issues or all this energy? Where can we put that? So martial arts was one of the things that I was put into, but I never stuck with it until later on in life.
Were you an only child, or you had other siblings, or it was just you?
Oh my gosh, dude, I have 5 sisters. So, yeah, I have 5.
And now you have 3 daughters.
I was going to say,
Yes.
You're keeping the family trend going.
Yeah. So 5 sisters and 3 daughters, and I'm the oldest out of my sisters. So that was pretty rough.
Yeah,
That's
That's what you call having the blessing of a curse.
Absolutely, right? It's like a double-edged sword. So one thing you want to do as an older brother with 5 sisters is know how to fight, right? Like you gotta need to know how to fight, man. You got 5 sisters, and now I have 3 daughters, and it's like I kind of need to know how to fight and be the protector, you know. So
right. So which one did you try all the new stuff you were learning on in martial arts?
You know what? Thankfully, no one yet. I am such a nice guy and very good with wording. Like I use my words first versus physical, because based on my size, I come off as intimidating, but I'm really one of the nicest guys ever, right? So if I could persuade someone with my wording before, you know, putting his hand on them, then
Sure.
that's that's what I'm kind of going to do. So,
You're a big dude, man.
fortunately,
Say that,
say
Matt?
that again.
I said, you're a big dude, man. I'd listen.
So fortunately, I have not had to put my hands on anyone.
That's good. I mean, I was thinking when you were a kid and you're learning, you were put into martial arts for management, anger management. Which of your sisters did you come home and say, "Hey, I learned this new thing. I want to try it on you"?
Oh my God, that's a great question. So I have my sister who's closest to my age. I used to try out everything on her, right? Everything. And then we used to like practice so much that she would start catching my kicks. So yeah, we used to practice so much that she would literally, I'll throw a kick, she would catch my leg. And I'm like, okay, I got to work on that. Right. So I did have an older sister that I tried all those things out, which is actually pretty funny that you brought that up.
I was the dummy for my brother. He was 10 years older than I was.
Oh, wow.
And he would like come home from like a Steven Seagal movie and he would be like, yo, you like throw a front kick. And then he would like double block it and clothesline me.
It's like, wow. Brutal.
Yeah, man. That's one of the things about, and you're the oldest. So like, I'm the oldest as well. I have one younger sister by 5 years. So we're like the broken in, we're the broken in models. The parents try everything on us. Then by the time they have the youngest, they've got it all worked out. So they get it easier. So you were in martial arts and stuff. And then what happened? Like, because you went to acting school too, no?
Yeah, I did a little bit of acting. This is all after I really got into the stunt world. When I got into the stunt world, I started to see different things from all walks of life, right? It's like the way people capture the screen, the way they hide from the camera or project to the camera, things like that really started to intrigue me, which made me want to get into the acting era of things.
Cool.
So then, yeah, I started that probably. The first time I really dove into acting was actually when in Atlanta with Paul.
That was
that was the first time we met, and that was the first time I actually took a chance on myself and wanted to dive into acting to kind of get a different feel of things. Because in a stunt world, especially if you're a double, the actor has a lot to deal with. Not only do they have all the fight scenes that they have to worry about, but they have all the dialogue as well. So I wanted to get an understanding of exactly what the actor goes through.
Sure. And then there are going to be times, right, where you have to mimic them, right? You have to mimic, might even have to say their lines and obviously mimic their postures and stuff. I don't think people really understand how much goes into doubling, even if you end up not on camera, right? Like there's a lot of work that goes into working with an actor before the cameras even roll, right?
And
absolutely.
And I will just say a step further for you. You are doubling a guy who knows how to fight, who does a lot of his own stuff. So not only do you have to emulate the way that he walks, it's not like you're just he's walking into a room and you're becoming him and then you're doing a fight and he kind of has to look like where he has to learn how to fight. You really need to learn how to jump, turn, and move like Michael Jai White while he's fighting.
I was going to say, so for the listeners, Jasper is a long time double for Michael Jai White, like 10 years or so, right? I mean, I was looking on your IMDb. The first one listed on IMDb, at least, is 2014 with Falcon Rising.
Yes, that is correct. And Paul, you hit it right on the head. Michael's the real deal, right? So this is not coming in and doing action for an actor. I'm literally trying to mimic him, right? I have to walk a certain way that even the body type, the diet, everything has to be on par with him. So working for Mike in the 10 plus years that I have, I've never had to throw a kick for him. Never had to throw a punch. Never did any of that. He is superb when it comes to action, his dieting, and obviously fights on screen, right? So for me, the main part was learn all of this just in case, but at the end of the day, be ready to take those hits. And that's what it came down to.
Cool.
So when Nathan Jones is throwing him through that table in
Oh
Never
my,
Back Down, that was you, right? Or was that Michael
yeah.
taking that
And
hit?
can he throw the table lightly?
No, here's here's the thing. So Nathan Jones used to be a wrestler,
Yes.
right? So he was, you know, in the video it looks like I'm getting punished, but he was very gentle with the power bomb through a table, if that makes sense, right? So all I remember is hearing at this time I had Larnell Stovall as the coordinator, and I believe second unit director in the fight scenes, and I also had Brahim. I don't know if you guys know Brahim,
Yep.
but he
Sure.
was
He,
a part of
we're gonna have
Never
an
Back
episode.
Down. Yes, absolutely phenomenal people to be a part of this project with. So with Nathan Jones, um, it was like all I heard in the background was tuck your chin. That was
Good
it.
advice.
Tuck your chin. You're going for a ride. But the way he did it, he's a professional. You know, looking back at it now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't ask for a better scene partner to get thrown through a table with than Nathan Jones. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that dude is huge.
Yeah, he's
That
a big
dude's
guy.
huge.
He's also a really
Yeah,
nice guy. I mean, we asked him to be on the show. He very graciously and very nicely declined. It just, in all honesty, it just doesn't seem like his kind of bag of tea to sit here and bullshit with a bunch of people he doesn't know for an hour.
Yeah, but you mentioned Brahim. So for the listeners, that's Brahim Chaab, who's most people are
yes,
knowing now because he's the fight coordinator on Monkey Man and all over the place, And Larnell Stovall, also long history, but I think people who don't pay attention to this stuff might know him from the Continental now, the show. I think he was the coordinator
yes,
for that.
which is rightfully deserved. And when it comes to Brahim, I remember going over the fight scenes. Like, so I'm still kind of like a newbie. You got to think about it. Falcon Rising was 2014. So now I'm in Thailand for 5-6 weeks. You know, and Never Back Down, No Surrender, and I have Larnell Stovall and then Brahim, and I'm going over these fight scenes. I am struggling, right? My choreography hasn't picked up yet. You got to understand, I come from a world without most of that training. Michael actually took a chance on me, which I'll give you guys more about that story, later on. But I'm going through these fight scenes. I have Larnell, who is a professionalist, rightfully so, and his work speaks for himself. And then with Brahim now taking over to where he is, so his work speaks for himself too. And then you have a guy that's 6'2", 240, try to follow these choreography moves um, that was in and out of martial arts throughout his life. So
And
that's one of the
their
things
stuff
that,
is like, it's not just cross
yes,
hook uppercut.
right. And like you said, Paul, it's like I'm not learning these fight scenes to create the action. I'm actually learning these fight scenes to sub in for the person who's really doing the action. Um, and with Michael and his choreography and his movies, they're top notch. So it's a lot that you gotta pick up on.
And Never Back
You know,
Down, No Surrender, he was directing too, correct?
absolutely, absolutely,
So he
yes.
has a ton on his plate.
He had a ton. Directing, going through the acting, obviously going through choreography, putting his stamp on it. Which when you have people like Larnell and Brahim, the action is in good hands, right? But as a director, you still want to overlook how things are done. So yes, he had his plate full. So I had to be on it at that point.
For sure. I mean, were there times when he was just too busy doing directorial stuff and he was like, Jasper, you gotta really fill in for me right now, or maybe during camera rehearsals or things like that.
Well, absolutely. Camera rehearsal. Me and Mike are at that time we were so identical body wise and look, because you got to understand when I first met Mike, um, my body was nowhere near where it should be. You got to think about I had a bad diet. I wasn't working out as much. When I actually met Mike, he taught me to the true value of nutrition, right? So now I'm following his diet and everything. So on camera, for lighting purposes and sizing things up, we were so identical. It gave him a better aesthetically view of what he was
You're gonna
looking
look
at.
like.
Absolutely, right? So it's like, okay, even the kicks, everything that I know now, Mike he kind of like coached me. And he didn't have to do that, but he coached me. So if someone's asking me, okay, line up camera, we're kicking a punching bag, we want this kick, this punch. It literally gives Mike, especially as a director on this film, a better view of what it would look like. And obviously, he put his tweaks on it and made it to what it is now.
I've got to ask. So this being, what it was there anything that they had you do that you were just like, yeah, I could do that, but inside you were like, fuck me?
Dude, that's every project. No, that's every project. It's like, wait a minute, you want me to do what? But you can't say it, right? You have to push through it, especially being a professional. You have to push through it. But what I did do is if I heard that, hey, do this, and I'm thinking to myself, like, there's no way I'm doing that. There's no way. I went home and I practiced that. As soon as I got done filming, that's what I worked on. And I told myself I would never be asked this question again and not be able to do that. But yeah, that's every project. You know what I mean? But you push through it.
Yep. Dude, so this sounds like a good spot for you to tell us how you met Michael. How did that happen? How did that connection happen?
Wow, man. YouTube and Twitter is how it happened. So I was working security at an NBA stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was the Charlotte Bobcats, which is now the Charlotte Hornets. I was doing security there. Now at that time I was working third shift, and the older guys, when they came in, they were bringing like the laptop, and we'd do our rounds, and then we'd watch a movie because it's quiet, right? So they were bringing their laptop. This is when burnt DVDs or whatever was a thing, right? You pop in a disc and the movie start up, you watch a movie. I was watching Blood and Bone. Now, obviously, when I was younger, I knew of, Mike from, Spawn and Undisputed The Return, Universal Soldier The Return, things of that magnitude. But Blood and Bone is what really set it off for me. 2009, I believe it was. And I don't know what it was. I was like, I can do that. I saw him do some
the one with the jail one with Kimbo Slice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And I seen a video. I was like, man, I think I could do that. I really think I could do that. And my buddy had, I think it was called the HTC Hero smartphone before smartphones were really a thing. And I went out of it's called the console, where we have all the cameras. I came out of the console area, and there was a sign about 9 feet high. And I said, record this. I jumped, I front kicked it, and then I jumped, did a spinning crescent kick, and I named that video Michael Jai White's Little Brother. And I started posting to YouTube.
That's how the little brother thing started, because
how the little brother thing started. I was like, okay. I looked up everything. I was like, so he's 6'1", 6'2", he's this and this and this. I'm about the same. And you never see guys his size move the way that he moves. No. I don't think I've seen a guy his size move that way yet. I was like, well, I'm sort of similar. I don't have all the martial art background, but I could throw my leg up and hit, there was no technique or anything. It was just athleticism. Right. So he recorded that video. He sent it to me. I was like, wow. And I started from there calling all my videos Michael Jai White's Little Brother. Started posting them to YouTube. I had Michael Jai White's Little Brother 1, which wasn't much, but Michael Jai White's Little Brother 2 really started to take off. I had, I think in a couple weeks, hit 100,000 views. And then I started getting up to 200,000, 300,000. People started commenting.
Oh shit!
So I started taking that. And this is back in 2010, 2011.
And at this point, he hadn't seen it yet, or as
He
far as
has
you
not
know.
seen it.
Yo, this
He has not seen it yet. So
like that
go ahead.
story of that guy who was like singing Journey in karaoke in Thailand.
Yeah.
And now he's like the lead singer of fucking Journey because they saw the video.
It's crazy, right? So what I did was I took that video and I started posting it on Twitter. This is before everybody became like verified and you had all the verified stamps. And I just went on and I just started finding every Michael Jai White person and just putting all the hashtags in. So I'm like hashtagging away, like just like a book of hashtags, right? Martial arts, action star, Michael Jai White, and tagging on the movies or whatever. I think I did that for about 6 months. 6 months of just tagging this video over and over and over again, commenting with everyone on YouTube. And then finally an account commented on that video, right? And at this time, I did not know it was Michael Jai White because there wasn't a verified stamp. All I heard was, hey, make sure you turn your hip when you're kicking, right? Make sure you turn your hip. And I'm sitting here like 300,000 views. I think I'm I'm a dog now. And I'm like, how dare you? How dare you tell me to kick?
I'm Michael Jai White's little brother, goddammit.
Yeah, like you're not verified. You're not even a real Michael Jai White. How dare you tell me how to kick?
You don't have the right hashtags, dude.
Like, no, it's not gonna happen, right? So it was a little bit more explicit than that. I was like, how dare you tell me how to kick? Like, you're a grown man pretending to be somebody else.
Oh my
like
God.
the cat, yeah, you're not verified, so you're catfishing.
Right.
You're not the real Michael Jai White. You're not going to tell me how to kick when I have 300,000 views. Who are you? Little do I know 300,000 views now means absolutely nothing, right? Like, wow. It's a different world that we live in. So he was like, hey, you don't have to talk to people that way.
I want to know what Taekwondo school you went to for anger management, man.
I know. You know what I mean? So that's why I said I was in and out because it couldn't contain me, right? So he's like, hey, make sure you turn your hips and this and this and this. And I started to really process it. And I was like, a regular person wouldn't tell me this, right? A regular person wouldn't tell me this. And he was like, you might have just missed out on one of the greatest opportunities of your life.
Wow.
By talking to them this way. Immediately when I read that, I backtracked. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is the real Michael Jai White. And I was like, well, no disrespect.
I was like, this. I was just trying to. I spoke.
Garner. I was trying to. Yeah, I was trying to gain that attention, and he was like, in order to gain attention and garner people's views, you don't have to talk to people that way or come off that way. And I was like, wow. It just made a lot of sense. And then we had a conversation where he was like, how much do you weigh? I was like, well, I'm 6'2". At that time, I was 240. I'm 6'2", 240. He was like, your movement, the way you move is crazy for 6'2", 240. Throwing kicks and moving this way. At that time, we started having a little bit more conversation, and we exchanged numbers. Next thing I know, I'm in Detroit at Comic-Con with them, recording footage.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. So literally, I met him in Detroit.
And you
I'm living in
almost
Charlotte.
fucked it up, you pretentious.
I almost blew the biggest opportunity of my life.
Yeah.
Literally. And I never set out to make these videos to be like, hey, I want to be a stunt double. I never did that. I truly did it out of the enjoyment. And I had someone that I looked up to. Yes, I had someone that I looked up to that inspired me to want to become better. And I literally almost blew that opportunity. I had
So the lesson is definitely talk shit to people on on social media.
Well, here's the thing. If you think about it now in the world that we live in, all the people that troll and get all the attention, that could potentially be true. But at the same time, when you're dealing with real people that are good people, you're going to get dismissed. So at the end of the day, for me, if I could tell anyone, is always work on your craft, but be humble, because you never know who's listening and you never know who's watching. And it only takes one person to give you an opportunity that could change your life.
That's an insanely cool story, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Met him in Detroit at Comic-Con. We hung out. And I had a camera guy come with me. This is after I upgraded, obviously, from the cell phone videos. And I had a guy with one of those gray Sony handheld ones. You know what I mean? And he was going through the motions of how to fake a punch or take a punch. You know, going through the movements of, and back then I was doing back handsprings, back tucks. You got to understand, a guy that's 6'2", 240, doing back handsprings, back tucks, and wall flips, it's kind of unheard of.
Still is.
You know, so, and still is.
Unless you're doing it and blowing your knee out at the end of a UFC fight.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So Michael took a chance on me when he didn't have to. And that brings me to where I am now.
He seems like a really generous guy. I mean, I sent you the video like right after I did it, when I did that workshop with him. Yeah, dude, he was a really nice guy. And like, the only comment he made was, he told me, because we were doing the workshop, he's like, and I was doing a thing where I had to knee him. So I kneed him, and he goes, come on, man. He's like you got a pair. And I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, I'm trying to be all respectful. He's like, dude, you're leaving me like a bitch. I'm like, fuck.
That's the thing, right? And Paul, you're absolutely right. The thing about him is that he is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And he comes off so intimidating, right? Based off his movies. And he is one of the nicest guys, and he always wants the best for you.
Yeah, after you talk to him, you almost feel like you could ask him for a hug.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? He wants you to become the best version of yourself. And I came to realize that where I'm at now. And I'm grateful for him even allowing me to keep the little brother, because he didn't have to do that.
No, he does. I mean, and when I did, before the workshop started, I talked to him, and I mentioned, that I knew you, and he literally, first words out of his mouth were like, that dude's like my little brother, man. And you know what I mean? Like, and he was awesome, dude. Maybe the fact that I dropped your name, but like we the whole workshop, so we had to like do choreo in front of him, create our own choreography in 15 minutes, and then do it in front of him, and whatever. So luckily, at the time, Dylan Hintz was training with us, and so I grabbed someone that was training with us, that I was training with, that I knew I could work with. And dude, when it was our turn to go, man, he broke down every single bit of our choreo and worked through it with us, and like showed us how to work it for the camera. Dude, he is an amazingly, really, really nice guy. Like, he probably took 20 minutes, during the entire workshop to just break this down and just work with me and Dylan through this. It was amazing.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, so being the person that he is, for one, he's a perfectionist. If you're going to do it right. Just like you said, hey, if you're going to throw this knee, throw the fucking knee, man. Like,
you gotta
but, it's like, well, I don't want to, because the first thing I've seen it many times on set, where people are like, well, I don't want to throw it too hard. It's Michael John White.
Exactly.
What if I throw it too hard?
It was like, fuck, man, it's Michael John White. I should have just thrown the knee.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things. It's like a double-edged sword. Should I throw it and give him my all so he could be like, that's a hell of a knee? Or do I hold back and
throw
like,
a knee?
this is how you throw a knee? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. But yeah, just to piggyback off what you said, he wants the best for anyone that he's on set with, I would say, or that he's working with. Obviously, in life in general, he wants the best for everyone as well. But on set, if you're working with him or going through choreography or whatever, this is film. We have to make it look good. So if I can help you become better and make it look better for camera, then why wouldn't I do that if I've been in the game for 30 plus years? And that's exactly who he is as a human being.
That's pretty awesome.
So
that's all very Big Brother-ish stuff. It's funny you say like he let me keep the little brother, but from the very beginning, even on the Twitter thing, he was acting like a big brother. Like, hey, you don't have to talk to people like that, and you can see it already.
Yeah, he I think about it every day. It's something that I never forget. Something I think about every day because as a kid from Bay City, Michigan, right? That is a small town. How the hell did I end up traveling the world? Because of him, I've been to London, I've been to Thailand, like I've been everywhere because of him. And it's one of those things that it's like,
well, you went there. Hold on. I don't want you to sell yourself short, man. You took the opportunities that were presented to you because of him, but you got there because of you.
Fair enough. And that's one of the things. And like you said, it was Big Brother from the very moment, and I continue to grow within. Continue to learn, pick up as much as possible. And you're absolutely right, Paul. It was something that I took the initiative of doing, and I kept pushing it, and I came up with whatever the case may be. But if that video doesn't get responded to, I'm not here with you guys. And if I haven't said this already, I think you guys were having me. So let's just get that out there.
Well, we're glad to have you here, man. And
man.
It's funny now that you went there. So in between, when you met him and before you got this, you and I met, man. And you and I met in the most fucking ridiculous, craziest audition that now when you go back and you think about was the shadiest fucking thing ever.
Yes.
And this is the same audition you mentioned before where you were stepping out.
Yes.
Trying out the acting thing.
Yes. I traveled from New York to Atlanta. I drove 13 hours for this fucking thing.
Yep. And same. I came from Bay City to Atlanta.
I don't even remember the details, but it was like some open call audition, right? For this fucking wackadoo of a director who like basically online marketed his futuristic Lord of the Rings weird fuck world and and like I don't know, man, like got in touch in a somewhat legitimate way and like I was like, all right, cool, I head to Atlanta for this audition, and I meet you there, and then I show up and it looked like I was at a fucking convention, dude. Everybody was in fucking costume. It was so weird.
And you met somebody else at that audition, I think. I remember you telling me you met somebody else that went on, like a young kid that went on to.
Oh yes, I forget who it was, but I did. I met a kid who's like super famous now.
Yeah.
But so we show up at this audition, and there's like, it is literally like a Comic-Con casting call. That's how many people were there. There were hundreds of people there. I don't know how this guy pulled this off. Hundreds of people there. So Jasper and I, we immediately start talking. He says he's Michael John White's stunt double. So I start fucking nerding out. And then, we're talking about how I'm trying to get into stunts. And he looks at me and he's like, okay, whatever, small little white man. And then And then we start talking and we start like doing a few things and we start moving and and he's like, okay, and then you and I ended up teaching a fucking workshop the second day.
Yes, absolutely.
It was awesome. Like there was probably about 50 or 60 people that were at this audition just outside watching us. And we literally just taught like a brief, small, like stunt workshop on just how to take hits and how to sell action. And like, it was awesome.
That was probably one of the greatest moments of my life as well. Because for one, I met you. Two,
now don't lie. You don't have to lie.
Great. No. Paul, how long ago was that? And we're still in contact now.
It had to be 2016, I think.
Jesus, man, it was so long ago.
Maybe even 2015.
And it might have been 2015. And it's one of those things. And plus, the second thing is that we stepped outside of our comfort zone. We wanted to become something more. And the beautiful thing about this story is that even though it was kind of fucked up, right? Like the whole thing was messed up. One, me and Paul, we ended up with another guy in a scene together.
That's not.
Which is really weird. Out of all the people there, we ended up in a scene together.
It was awesome.
Which is awesome. And we put on the acting display for everyone around us. But even that is that the stunt, like you put on to think where you are now and what you guys are doing now, to think you were asking about getting into stunts, and now look where you are now. You've always had it's manifestation. Thoughts become things, and it took a little bit longer, but look where we are now.
And how amazing! It's funny. You meet a lot of people along this journey, and you don't always keep contact with someone. But you and I kept like no joke. It wasn't like I reached out to you for this episode. We have kept contact consistently throughout the years.
Yes, absolutely. You're a great person. You're genuine, and you know your shit. I mean, we're not gonna, you know what I mean. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting both of you guys at once. I wish I was able to be there. I think I talked to you about it, Paul. I said I wish I could have flew out, but
me too.
Shit, you're doing.
I wish I could be there as well.
Well, man, if you're ever in New York, then we'll do another episode. We'll do it in the studio, man. That'll be awesome.
Dude, it's going to have to be, because I told Paul, like, hey, I wish I could have flew out for this, because the energy is absolutely remarkable. And to think, like, it's just blowing my mind to think that back in 2015 or whatever the case were, we showed up to this shady event.
Dude, I'm surprised you didn't walk in the room and he didn't have a fucking black leather couch in there.
Yeah. That's what I'm like, so to think that we are where we are now, dude, you can't make this up. This industry, how things happen, you can't make it up. If anyone asks me, hey, how do I do this? I can tell you to take all the workshops possible, learn as much as possible, have the gear, whatever the case may be. But how I got here is going to be different from how you get there. How you got there is going to be different from how I got here.
Isn't that the best thing about this business is when you meet people and you find out what their story is, how they got into the business, or maybe they were a pro skateboarder, or like when I worked on a show, one of the riggers, we talked about him before. His name's Eddie Fiola, and he got into the business because he literally created freestyle BMX, and his first job was on that old movie Rad, right? And all these years later, now he's a rigger. He's doing all this other stuff, and it's just incredible. Every person you meet, they have such a unique pathway that got them into this business. It's never boring.
Also want to say it's amazing because I was watching. They have the Red Bull channel in the hotel, so I've been watching that like crazy. It's amazing that in Rad, the end move was a backflip out of a bathtub. And I just watched a guy do like 4 backflips and 7 fucking 360s.
Yeah,
it's crazy what they do now.
And right now, out by you, Paul, in Boston, there's a big Red Bull event going on. Like the hotel, when I was there last week, was full of all these Red Bull people. There's something going on at the waterfront. You should go check it out.
Oh, that's cool. I was thinking about going to the water tomorrow. I actually want to go to Aquarium and go cliff jumping.
Cool. So
I know.
the energy between me and Paul is pretty good, but not as good as Ray Park and Scott Atkins.
What the fuck,
No.
dude?
Like, how do you? So
Boycott,
for
Paul, come on, man! Like, what
I know,
the fuck was
right?
that like?
So for the listeners, this is the Accident Man fight. So be sure to go in and look at the show notes. We'll have the link to it.
Dude, I honestly, every time I watch this fight, I secretly fucking hate you.
Well, the minute I saw Geese, I was hooked because that's just how I'm like, what? They're fighting in a gym with Geese. This is going to be good. They're going to be throwing each other, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The Tim Mann was the choreographer for this fight scene. If you guys know Tim Mann is absolutely a wizard when it comes to the kicks. Absolutely phenomenal choreographer. And let me tell you something, in this scene, I was blown away. Literally blown away. You're working with Scott Atkins, right? You have Michael Jai White, you have Ray Park, Mr. Snake Eyes himself. The energy is through the roof. And I was trying to figure out anything that I could do to make any reality come true. And I've never been around, well, I can't say that, but no, this room was different. I'm in London, right? So never been to London. So I'm in London for the first time. And I am with, if anyone watches Undisputed 2, you will understand the fight scene and the chemistry between Michael Jai and Scott Atkins. Unmatched. And then you see it now come to fruition on Accident Man years later. And to be a part of that blew my mind. Like, blew my mind.
Yeah, so that kind of, it was like when you watched Donnie Yen fight Sammo Hong in Killzone.
Yes. It's like, what? I'm sitting here, I'm watching the choreography being done. They're going through the moves. And when I tell you that I lost it here, Scott came to me. He was like, Jasper, I want to try this. Are you up for it? And I'm in my head like, are you fucking, dude, I'll do anything you fucking want. I don't care. Are you kidding me? I don't care. Like, you throw me out this 5-story building. I don't care. It's a scene or a section in this fight where we're on the ground. Michael's pounding him or whatever case, it's just hitting and hitting. And Scott puts him in a move and Michael picks him up. It's like when you're in an armbar.
Dude, I know exactly what move you're going to talk about. This is like one of the best moves.
It's absolutely amazing. And obviously Mike's a little bigger, so he's stronger. So he picks Scott up. He's up in the air. Scott is, and then we switch to me, and Scott's like, he hits me in the face like 2 times. And he does this thing where he like goes into like a back handspring motion and flips me over him. And I'm like, what is going on?
Dude, he back arches from up there under your legs, like stomach towards the floor.
Yeah.
And throws you that way. That's awesome.
And, dude, at this point,
put a little twist in it.
Because you got to understand, if I'm not in sync with him, you have to be in sync. I don't know how. I'm at this point, I was about 245. So I have to, I have to feel his hands hit, like I have to feel everything. If I don't go when he goes, I could tweak something on him.
Oh, he could spike his head into the ground if it goes wrong with that move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, God, he is so amazing. And it's just like, all I felt was his hands go, it was so fast. It was like, pick him up, boom, boom. He comes down and my body just goes flailing. And it was absolutely amazing. Like, there are projects where I am happy to get my ass beat. This was wonderful. It's Scott Atkins.
I was telling Steve before that, like, there's, I mentioned these guys and I said, action fucking superstars. And then I was like, it's kind of weird that there are different types of action superstars. You have like Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone, who are like box office
Yes.
action stars. But then Scott Atkins, Michael Jai White, Ray Park, you know, they are also action superstars. But
dude.
they're just not in the same caliber of movies that the other guy, you know, and it was just kind of weird how there's this, I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean?
It's
Why
necessary.
you know, it's like they're so famous and they're just
You know what
as
it is?
famous, but their movies don't.
You know what it is, Paul? It's like because the movies, like the other movies have a broader audience, and these movies are very specific audience. I don't even know if it's about caliber. I mean, they're equal. They're, you know, like craftsmanship wise equal, but when it comes to like who's watching the fight movies, you know, you're gonna have a less people than say, you know, Die Hard or something like that.
Well, yeah, because you think about it. If you have, let's say a $10 million budget versus a $300 million budget, vastly is going to be different. But the action in that, the beautiful thing about budgets is that depending on who you are, you stretch it, right? Like if you watch the Michael Jai White's movie, you watch
That's why
Scott Atkins.
Great when these guys get to the point of where they're the bad guy with these other guys.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my God, I can't wait until Michael Jai White kicks the shit out of fucking, or you know what I mean? Just It's always great when they are the second, like in John Wick, when Scott Atkins was the Oh my God, dude, it was like my favorite scene.
Yeah, he was awesome. But he's hitting the mainstream. Yeah.
Well, he's definitely getting there. Even with when he was in Doctor Strange, and he played the second guy to that. Even with Michael Jai White in a scene with Heath Ledger, you know how he captivated the scene. You know, so you know, I think he said I give $1 million to anybody that takes this clown, whatever the case was. In those scenes, they thrive. It's just crazy how in this industry, there's so many different directions you can go. And there's a different level of what you can reach. So whether you want to be a stunt coordinator, fight choreographer, second unit director, action star, whatever the case may be, rigging, it's so many different levels. If you find what your passion is, you can potentially hit it. But the grind never stops, right? You have to continue to prove yourself no matter what. You have to continue training. You have to continue learning. Even with Michael Jai White, Ray Park, Tim Man, Larnell, Brahim, whatever the case may be, they have to keep moving and keep honing their craft.
And stretching those budgets. You know, it's so funny. I was earlier today, I was listening to another podcast. I've mentioned it on the show before. It's Talk Easy. It's a great podcast. But this one was with Linkletter talking about Hitman, the new movie Hitman coming out. But he was talking about it's out now, but
the one on Netflix.
What's that?
Yeah, the one on Netflix.
Yeah, the one on Netflix. But he was talking about his early career, and he's like, you know, being a filmmaker is almost like being a criminal because you're doing everything you can to make it work. And he made this great equation to like a mob boss. Like you'll have a good run, you know, and then like, so, you know, maybe I'll just borrow this equipment to make my movie, and you know, like maybe I'll just shoot over here without the permit. You know what? Maybe I'll just go guerrilla over here. But whatever you got to do to get it done, and then you'll have a little success, and then you move forward. You have a little more success. And he said that it just does feel like you're kind of a small time criminal getting away with stuff, you know. And just like every mobster, they get to a point where, well, I had a good run, man, but you know, now, you know, it's like you said, now it's time to hustle again and start the grind again, because it doesn't go on forever.
No, it doesn't. And I believe that's where the term comes, strike while the iron is hot. You have to strike while the iron is hot. Because if you lose that momentum, you could potentially lose yourself. if you're waiting on jobs, you're waiting on opportunities, if you're not writing, you're not training, you're not reaching out to people, you can lose that momentum and put yourself in a bigger hole than where you started.
That being said, when I first reached out to you, and I asked you to kind of be on the show, you were a little apprehensive, let's say.
Absolutely.
Now that you've been on the show and whatever, how do you feel? And then why don't you just let us know? Because I think it's a valuable thing for our listeners, especially our stunt listeners, to kind of hear, where you're at now or where you're going. And I think all of this kind of plays into that.
Well, the first thing is you and Steve have been absolutely amazing, and you made this as welcoming as I feel like I'm right there with you guys. It would be like if we were all out together having a drink or watching a game or watching a martial art movie. Like the camaraderie or whatever is absolutely phenomenal. So for one, I'm happy that I came on, and I hope I can come again with with future stuff. And being on this podcast now makes me actually want to work even harder. I'm sitting here drinking coffee now to hopefully go back to the gym and get a good session in. So this is a podcast that is motivating me and making me realize why I started in the first place. I think in life or with anything that we do, we forget why we start something. We lose the love or forget why we loved it in the first place. And having this moment with you guys to go back through all those special moments makes me realize why I loved it and why I've done it as long as I've done it. It's absolutely amazing. And based on what you said earlier when we talked about, I was a little apprehensive because it's like, man, but what am I doing now? Or what's next? When you join something like this, at least for me, it makes you think about, okay, what can I do to become better? Because the one thing at least for me, the one thing I don't want to do is, even though my past moments were amazing, absolutely phenomenal, and I will tell those stories until the end of time, I need to use those to motivate me for the future. So.
You don't want your future to be your past.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We will be getting together at some point watching movies in person for sure.
Yeah,
I feel like that's going to happen at some point.
It is. Yeah. It is. Well, at this point, it has to.
And then of course, we're going to get drunk. What we're doing, we're going to be like, "Yo, we got to go outside and try that."
Well, I think that's a beautiful thing. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to come.
We can't watch any movie with Bree Ham in it because one of us is going to throw out our fucking back.
That's what I mean. That's like the studio setup you guys have and the training that you guys go through. I think I just seen something posted earlier where somebody made it to the puke board.
Oh yeah, that's right back there.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I got to get out there and get on the puke board. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, the energy, and you learn this as you meet people, you gravitate towards that energy. It's a certain energy that makes you want to do better. If we talk about the 2015 in Atlanta, you coming from New York, me coming from Detroit, whatever the case may be, and then we're putting on a damn workshop.
Hundreds of people, you and I.
For hundreds of people. And I believed you were so awesome at what you were doing, they wanted you to move on to actually choreograph.
That fucking jerk off called me and he asked me to be his fucking stunt coordinator. And I said yes, knowing I'm like, this guy's so full of shit, but I'm going to say yes anyway.
But here's the thing.
I think I even called Steve. I'm like, dude, I go, this fucking asshole called me to be a stunt coordinator. I said yes. I don't think anything's going to fucking happen. I'm like, but I said yes anyway.
But here's the thing, right? If you look past that, even though he wasn't, but if you look past that and you look at the deeper meaning of it, someone's seen a potential in you that you didn't see at that time. It does, like, sometimes, he was an asshole, dude. Like, he was, oh my God. Like, I don't want to get out of character. Like, he's just that whole setup was just, it really pisses me off.
The only thing that was missing was the black leather couch.
Dude, I was like, oh my God. Like, I drove 12 and a half hours, 13 hours for this opportunity. You know what pissed me off? Because I was like, the buffet was terrible. Like, where were the sandwiches at? But the point is like someone seeing a potential in you that got you to where you are. And how it works is that we take the good for the bad, right? You could have been like, okay, what you did, this guy's a piece of shit. Or you could have been like, well, this is not going to stop me. I have to keep going. I have to keep pushing forward. I have a goal. I need to reach it. And look at you now.
I'm like, I met Jasper, so let's go.
We could go with that. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. And it's the same thing that brought me to my earlier point is like, without any of that, I wouldn't be here. Without meeting you or, working with Mike or whatever, I wouldn't be here. But like you said earlier, we decided to move forward. Same with you, Steve. Like we decided to keep pushing.
Yeah, man. Listen, open doors open for us every day.
Dude,
yes.
I'm in Boston right now, but the day before I was in Boston, like, man, I don't know how long it had been since I had gotten a phone call for work outside of mocap work, which I really don't count because I get it every month, like it's fucking, like it's a union job or something. And and sometimes I don't even get it, but you get the call for availability. But like to get an actual call, even if I wasn't here in Boston now, was so morally uplifting to get just a call for work.
Yes.
Like, even I swear to you, I didn't even care if I got it. I just needed to know that there was somebody out there that wanted me to come and I get killed or do something on film for them. Like it was just that feeling was amazing in it, and all it took was that small little spark to just stop the weird shit from going on of just being like, absolutely. Do I need to change my career? Do I need to do this? Do I need to jump ship? Do I need to blah, blah, blah? Like, these are all the things that we go through that, I'm sure you go, especially when it's slow. And then when you go from COVID to a strike to a pending strike.
Look, without all that, without the COVID, without the strikes, this business is already like this. One day you're feeling like you're on top of the world, and then that production's over and okay, now I'm all the way at the bottom again. What am I going to do now? And then, you know what I mean? It's up and then, you feel, somebody called, I got it up. Now I'm back down to, it's like this emotional roller coaster is one of the hardest parts of this business.
Oh, and you're absolutely right. I mean, you literally hit it right on the head. You get into these projects, even with Accident Man, Never Back Down, all these other projects, you're on that high for that moment because, like you said, someone's thought of me, and then you said, well, even without this, it's a roller coaster. Absolutely. You're happy in that moment, but once that moment is done, you don't know when the next job is coming, right? So it is the most inconsistent work possible because especially if you live in a city where rent or your mortgage, whatever the case may be, is through the roof, you're thinking about, okay, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to do this? Should I get a regular job? Should I take up serving? Should I? And your mind is just running. And especially if you have a family, it makes it even harder because you don't have the time to take those days off and say, I can't work.
And then also, and I know I've mentioned it before, but then you have the people that are in this business that are like, oh, well, if you have another job, you're not true to being a stuntman. You're not true to being this. It's all or nothing. And then it's like, well, you don't pay my fucking bills and you don't hire me and you don't put food on my table. So shut the fuck up. Like, who are you to tell me that my ego needs to get in the way of how I make money for my family?
Yeah. It's just like earlier, everything is different for everyone. Some people may have that mindset.
I mean, look,
you got to be a realist.
I'm loading trucks to make extra money right now.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to be a realist.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't give a fuck. I love it. Like I told Steve, it's like going to the gym for free.
There you go. You get paid to work out. That's probably why your back is fucked up right now because you're loading those damn trucks.
No, that's just age. That's just old.
Okay,
that's just age.
That's the 46 years.
But yeah, you do what you have to do. But at the end of the day, as long as you're doing what you love, what else matters? It doesn't matter how I do it. At the end of the day, when I'm on set, I'm giving it 1,000%. That's it. Whatever needs to be done, like you guys said earlier, have you ever heard someone say or ask you to do something you were like, fuck, I can't do that? Yes. Dude, I used to be afraid of heights. And in a movie called Welcome to Sudden Death, me and Mike were in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and we're in a basketball stadium, and I have to fight on the fucking catwalk. They have to like film it. Like I'm on a catwalk. I'm scared as fuck of heights. I hate heights. But guess what? I got over it really quick. Right? It's like, I got to do this or I'm not working it. You know what I mean? Like,
but at the same time, you're like, one and done, baby. One and done. Just get this over
one
with.
And done. This has got to be it. If they say, hey, let's get it one more time. No, I got to be perfect now. You give it 1,000% when you're on that set. You be as professional as possible. And whatever you do afterwards, it could be a year, 6 months to a year, especially if you're not living in a big city. I live in Bay City. You know what I have to do to get on like a Marvel show? Well, for one, I have to move.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I have to uproot my family's life. Just because I don't want to do that doesn't mean I don't want to give the industry 100%. Just means I have to be a realist and understand that we're surrounded by family. So when I do travel, I know my family's taken care of. If I move to Atlanta or New York or LA, I'm starting over.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's something new.
Let me tell you,
that's a risk.
It's a choice and it's a risk, but I think it's an honorable choice. And I mean, we're coming up to the end, but it's I got to work with Scott Glenn recently, and he's like 80, he's 84 years old now. Legend, like absolute legend. And he told the story that when he was in Urban Cowboy, like he had been in stuff before, but he wasn't like known, and his manager said to him after Urban Cowboy was done, be ready for your career, be ready for your life to change. This is going to change your life, this movie, big movie, John Travolta, Deborah Winger, it's huge, right? They were filming it in Texas, and he lives in Idaho. I want to say Idaho, Iowa or Idaho, but I think Idaho. And he gets home, and there were 10 scripts waiting for him when he got there already. Word had traveled, like he just killed this, right? And his managers and agents were like, dude, you got to move to LA or New York. You can't stay here. You got to, this is for your career. And you know what? Back then, he said, nope, I'm staying here. They want me, they know where to find me. All these years later, decades later, still married to the same woman, still living in the same town. He's a sheriff's deputy in that town. I mean, he's just was like, this is where I am. This is my home. This is my family. And you can make it work. You can make it work, totally can make it work. It was so inspiring to hear him say that, because when you're young and single and whatever, and you feel like, I'll live the carny life. I'll jump down to Atlanta for a bit. I'll go to New Orleans for a bit. There's a lot going in New Mexico right now. Let me head down there. But not all of us can do that, right? It's like we have home bases, definitely.
I mean, I have a new baby now. Even I went for a bachelor party. That was kind of the longest I've been away. But, now that I'm here, it was kind of funny. Tomorrow's Father's Day, and I didn't even think about it until like I was already like, yep, blah blah blah, and then my wife's like, it's Father's Day, and I was like, whatever, fuck it. But see, I'm like, damn it. Towards like later on, I'm like, I don't know if as my daughter gets older, if I would make the decision to take a job and be away on Father's Day. It's like, I'm not gonna say it sucks, like, but when my kid gets older, I think that's something, and they're going to remember. I think that's something I want to be around for.
And hopefully you'll be in a place where you can bring them. Sometimes you can. That same movie with Scott Glenn.
Honestly, if they didn't have plans with my father-in-law and brother-in-law, whatever that, if that's what he's actually called, my sister-in-law's husband, I guess brother-in-law twice removed with a third cousin. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
Anyways. But like, they had dinner plans. Otherwise, Jamie was going to come up here this weekend with the baby.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways to make it work.
For sure.
For sure. Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes.
Jasper, this is awesome, dude.
Man, yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was an awesome time. I can't believe
I was able to sprinkle my honey potion and get you on here.
Wait, say that again, Paul?
I'm glad I was able to sprinkle my potion and get you on here.
Absolutely. This was
it was
fun,
so
guys.
Worth it.
I'm grateful to be on here, and can't believe an hour's already by. Holy smokes, that went fast.
It was more than an hour. I had the timer set for an hour and 10 minutes, so we just hit an hour and 10. We're good. Very cool, man. So thank you so much. And the next one, hopefully, be in person.
For sure, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too, man. Fights with Friends is brought to you by Breakfall Studios and Press Record Studios. Executive producers Stephen Koepfer, Paul Varacchi, and Thiago Benedetti. Produced by Matthew Kaplowitz. Associate producers Becca GT and Jared DeCroce. Our video editor is Matthew Kaplowitz. Original music by Aru Luster.